morning. You know, I've been in this industry full-time for 13 years, and I've learned one thing, is that if you want to succeed in this industry, you got to show up. And so I just applaud you for showing up, for being here. I learned something in every event, and I've been doing this for 13 years, and I've been blessed to earn millions of dollars in this business, but you're doing the right thing for your business just by being here. So today I'm going to talk a little bit about overcoming objections, understanding and overcoming objections. Now, I don't imagine any of you have ever had an objection when you were talking to people about network marketing, right? That doesn't happen, does it? Okay. Well, before we start talking about how to handle objections, let's talk about how not to create objections. Did you know that you actually can create objections? So, let me ask you, what do you think is the #1 objection that most people get when they're talking to others about network marketing? What might that be? I don't have the time? Anybody have something else?
I don't have the money.
I don't have the money. Anything else?
It doesn't work.
It doesn't work. It's a pyramid scheme. Do you know what your #1 objection will be? It will be the thing that you are worrying about and thinking about and obsessing about the most. If you're worried about it, you're putting so much energy into it, it's got to show up. You see, people will dance to the music that you provide. So if you're nervous, the person you're talking to is going to feel nervous. If you think the product is expensive, they will think it's expensive. If you think, oh gosh, you know, just nobody has money to join a network marketing business, you will come across every broke person in the known universe. If you think it's hard to sponsor, it will be. And if you hate to bother people, everybody will be bothered. I call that the gold Lexus SUV phenomenon. In the year 2000, I bought my first Lexus SUV. It was a beautiful gold car, and I was driving home from Salt Lake to Provo, Utah, and on my way there, I must have seen 70 gold Lexus SUVs. I'm like, there's my car, there's my car. What happened? Was there suddenly a run on gold Lexus SUVs at the dealership? Did everybody in Utah decide to buy one? No. I was thinking about something different. So I was seeing something different. Does that make sense? So let's say that you and I are in my gold Lexus SUV with one of your prospects, and we have succeeded in painting a beautiful vista of what success in RAIN looks like, of what a healthy lifestyle with RAIN products look like, and then all of a sudden, splat. A bug shows up on that windshield in the form of a negative question or an objection. Well, you and I, we can see around the bug. You know, we still see that beautiful vista, but our prospect, all they see is this little smashed bug, and they're focused on the bug. It's their objection, and that's all they can see. So it's very important that we handle that we get the windshield wipers going, we turn on the water, and we wash that off the windshield. But how we handle that objection, the manner in which we respond, is critical. You know, I never get offended if somebody has an objection or somebody asks me kind of a negative question, because I think at least they're interested enough to ask. They're not just blowing me off, right? So we don't want to become insecure if somebody asks us a question. We don't want to get combative. We don't want to become freaked out and scared. And we certainly don't want to feel like we want to murder somebody just because they asked us a question, although sometimes I have felt that way. If we become argumentative, we're just going to lose that person. So the manner in which we respond, very important. We just have to have the confidence in what we have to offer. Now, this may surprise you. Did you know that the #1 purpose of overcoming an objection is not to get the person in your business? Does that seem like it's kind of counterintuitive? Right? Of course we want people to join the business, but the #1 purpose is to help your prospect get past whatever it is that's stopping them from getting what they want. Not what you want, what they want. If they get the slightest inkling that all of your answers are motivated by your desire to pull them into your business so that you can make money, they'll stop trusting you. So if you will just change that focus If you'll remember that, I promise you, your success rate at closing people and overcoming these objections is going to go way up. It's going to be a lot higher. So the goal, when somebody has an objection, is not to argue with them, it's to educate them. It's to give them a larger understanding, to give them some other facts that they can deal with, to reframe how it is that they're thinking. Okay, so instead of thinking as an objection as a threat, I choose to see it as an opportunity. See, we're actually in the business of helping the blind to see. Our prospects have some blind spots about network marketing or about our product, about how this all works, and it's our job to identify those blind spots and help overcome them. You see, we don't see the world as it is. We see the world as we are. What I mean by that is we've had experiences in the world. We experience things, and then we draw conclusions about what it is that we experienced. Now, the conclusion that we drew may or may not be valid. It may not be right, but it's our conclusion and we believe it. And so then when new information comes to us, we measure it against the experiences that we've already had, right? Is that true? Does it really work? Well, I've experienced this, so I don't know. So there are a lot of people who have some false conclusions that they've drawn about network marketing, and we see the world differently. Some people are going to look at that image up there, and they're going to see two faces in profile facing each other. Some people are going to see a black vase. Some people are going to look at that image, and they're going to see the face of a woman. And some people are going to see the guy with a big nose playing a saxophone, right? It has to do with what they've experienced. So this is a very important concept to understand. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you some tactics to help handle objections in certain situations. But more importantly, what I really want you to concentrate on are larger concepts. So because concepts can be applied universally in every situation. Is there some water here? Would you mind somebody grabbing? Okay, thank you, I'm getting dry. So we're going to concentrate on the concepts because they can be applied universally. The first concept that I want you to really understand is, where do objections mostly come from? The vast majority of objections come from one place, and that's fear. And I have found that in my experience, there's kind of two categories of objections. So it's either that the prospect has a limiting belief about his own ability to succeed, or they have a limiting belief about network marketing and its ability to deliver whatever it is that they want. Oh, thank you. This is it? Perfect, thanks. In either case, the best concept to apply is what we call empathy. The way that we relate to each other as human beings. And the best way to express empathy is to help that person understand that you are just like them. Hey, you know, I have had the same challenges. I've had the same insecurities. I've had the same doubts and the same fears. And you know what? I overcame them, and it's the best thing that ever happened. So you share your story. Adam and Kevin did a beautiful job about sharing stories. You know, your story is like the nuclear weapon in your arsenal for overcoming objections. Have you ever heard the saying, facts tell, stories sell? Why is that? Because your prospect places themselves inside the story. And they go, oh, could I do that? Would that work for me? So they see themselves in the story. So share your story. And as Adam said, if you don't have a story that applies in that situation, well, there's about 240 stories just right in this room, and there are hundreds of thousands of stories in our company. So there's a lot of stories that we can tell. It helps people to see themselves and to see the situation in a different way. So share your story. The Anglican theologian C.S. Lewis once said, friendship is born in that moment when one person says to another, what? You too? I thought I was the only one. Right? So think about it. Who do you feel closest to in your life? I just sat and shared my story with Mickey, and Mickey shared her story with me, and by the end we were hugging each other, and we had tears in our eyes. Why does that happen? Well, Are you close to people if they just kind of never let you in, if they present a perfect facade? Everything is great in my life and I have no problem. Or are you close to the people who show you their warts and you kind of go, oh, now we can be friends because I've got warts too, right? So we want to be authentic with people. Open yourself up, be real with them, relate to them, bring them into your world, and you'll create a rapport in that situation. So there's a great tactic for expressing empathy and helping people to reframe their thinking by giving them a little bit more information. It's called feel, felt, found. I'm sure you might have heard of this, but it goes something like this. I completely understand how you would feel that way. As a matter of fact, I felt the same way. But you know what? I have found that blank, blank, blank. Tell your story, give them more information, help them to reframe what they erroneously believe. Feel, felt, found. You know, Dr. Stephen Covey, who wrote the book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, in Habit 5, said, seek first to understand, and only then to be understood. Now, why is that? Most people, they listen in order to respond. And you know how I know that's true? Because I've done it, and so have you. So we're listening to people talk, and we're listening, we're thinking, oh, I know what I'm going to say next. Oh, wait, what do you think? Oh, well, let me tell you this, right? So how much did we really hear of what that person was saying to us? Some, but not all. So it's very, very important that we listen to understand, not listen to respond, listen to understand. So we want to listen closely and fully. And we don't want to jump in just because we happen to have a snappy, canned answer. We want to hear the real objection. And it's the reason that you want to really listen and ask the right question is because a lot of objections and questions have hidden questions and objections in them, if that makes sense. I'll give you an example. I was talking to a guy once and he kept telling me, oh, no, I could never do network marketing. No, I could never see myself doing that. I just can't see myself doing that. I finally had to say, well, let me ask you, what is that? What does that mean? What is it that you think that you would be doing? And he says, oh, you know, I just can't talk to strangers and bother people, and I'm not going to walk down the street and knock on doors. Well, now I knew he held an erroneous belief, and I could deal with that erroneous belief. You know, we don't do that. Let me show you how we do the business. But had I not listened completely, had I not asked the right question, I would just think, well, he probably knows all about network marketing and he doesn't like it. So you have to listen closely, ask the right questions. Then you want to confirm that you understand. So you might say, you know, now I understand, so I'm going to go, oh, well, so then what you're saying, what I'm hearing is you would feel very uncomfortable having to speak to a lot of strangers and if you just had to walk down the street and knock doors. Is that right? Yes. Oh, okay, well, let me explain. And now I can give him further information. So I confirm that. Then you want to validate. Now, you don't want to validate the objection. You want to validate the prospect. I completely get why you would feel that. I would feel the same way. But, and then you give them further information. So I see how you feel. I felt the same way. Then you want to help them reframe with a story with further information. So let's talk about some of these objections. What would be some of the objections that would show up in the form of limiting beliefs about the prospect's own abilities? They just don't think they could succeed. These would be things like, I don't have the money, I don't have the time, I don't have that special personality that you have to be in network marketing. I'm not a salesperson. I don't know anybody. I'm too young, I'm too old, I have no experience. So let's talk about one of those. Let's talk about I don't have the money. So you might be able to share a story like this. Now, if you can't share this particular story, use somebody else's story or use a story that applies, but you might say something like, you know, I really do understand what you're saying because I had the same challenge. I didn't have enough money to pay my bills, much less start a business. But then I realized, you know what? I don't have enough money to pay my bills. And I don't even have an extra few $100s to start a business and do something about it, and it made me mad. And I decided to do something about that. So you know what I did? I found a solution. I had a garage sale, and I raised some money, and I got into that business, and you know what? It's the best thing that ever happened to me. So let me ask you, if you really felt like this was an opportunity to take hold of your financial future, to take control and to change it, do you think you could find a way too? So that might be one way of handling that objection. Let's talk about I have no experience. Oh my goodness, I know how you feel. I felt the same way. When I first got into network marketing, this guy sponsored me and I took my kit and I was so freaked out, I put it in the trunk of my car and I just kind of left it there for 3 months because I just didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to talk to anybody, but a really good sponsor. And he realized what I was doing and he came to me and he said, Paul, look, don't worry. If you don't know the answer to a question, that's no problem. You just say, you know what, I'm not sure, but I'll find out for you. But you don't even need to get that far because I'm going to be there for you. All you have to do is hand somebody a video or send somebody a video and then say, my friend Derek's going to tell you all about it. If you can do that, you can do the business. So Paul, does that put you more at ease about this? And that really made all the difference for me. So let me ask you, Mr. Prospect, would that put you more at ease if you knew it was that simple? So that's another way that you can handle that. Let's talk about what are some of the limiting beliefs that show up in the form of somebody, objections that show up in the form of somebody having a limiting belief about network marketing. These are things like, I don't like MLM. I don't want to bother people. Is this one of those pyramid schemes? The tough guy makes all the money, or nobody makes any money, or I'll lose all my friends. These are some mistaken beliefs that people have about network marketing. So let's take the big daddy. I don't like network marketing. Now, if that shows up with a lot of emotion, if I see that the person's like really got some emotion going on there, I realize that there's a 90% chance that that person has been in network marketing before and has perhaps had a bad experience. Maybe he really or she didn't understand what they were getting into. Maybe somebody told them, oh, you'll be rich by next month, you know, and they weren't, and they were disappointed. But here's what I like to say. Oh my gosh, it sounds like you have a story. What happened? Were you involved with network marketing before? And then I get them to talk about it. And what happens in the process of them talking about it is the emotion starts to go out of it. They start to diffuse because they feel heard. And what's going to happen is they're going to parade in front of you every mistaken conclusion that they have drawn about network marketing. And maybe some of the mistakes that they made. And so you can help them see those, realize those, and overcome those. But you have to give them the opportunity to talk about it. Now, one of the things that I hear all the time in that situation is they say, never again. I promised myself, never again. I'm never doing that. Has anybody gotten that objection, by the way? Oh, see, so that shows up, doesn't it? Well, so I like to say, you know, I really understand how you feel, and had I gone through what you went through, I would most likely have felt the same way. But let me ask you, do you think you owe it to yourself to look at each opportunity for the unique variables that it presents? Because this business is going to have different variables than this business. And to say, well, I had a bad experience in this company, and therefore I'm never looking again, is like having a bad plate of spaghetti at a restaurant and then saying, all restaurants are bad, I'm never eating in a restaurant again. And of course, that's taking it a little bit too far, don't you think? So if I could show you some of the differences and why I find this so compelling, would you be willing to listen? Okay, so that's another way that I've overcome that. So if it doesn't show up with a lot of emotion attached to it, then I'm just going to say, oh, you don't like network marketing? Well, I'm curious. Tell me, what is it about network marketing that you find so distasteful or that you don't like? Once again, they're going to tell you all of those things, that the mistaken beliefs that they hold, and you can deal with those. Now, why is it that people have those kind of mistaken beliefs? It's usually because they've had the visit from this guy, and I call him Uncle Clueless. And this is somebody that's been to an opportunity meeting and got all excited. And man, the dreams that this guy has and the visions that he has, and he has absolutely no training, and he shows up on your doorstep, and so man, he's going to sell you. He's going to make exaggerated claims about that product and the compensation plan. Man, I'll tell you, this product, you are going to sprout wings and you're going to fly. And imagine the money you'll save on gas. And you're going to be rich tomorrow, right? So exaggerated claims about income. Or they might just start trying to twist your arm. Or they just guilt you. You owe me. You need to do this. Or they just get down and they flat out beg. You got to join this business with me. But let me ask you, how did that make you feel? Ew, right? And would you ever do that to anybody else? Of course not, because you're a nice person, like most people in the world. So the ironic thing about this is network marketing is based on me getting you to do to somebody else what I just did to you. So if what I did to you was icky, you won't do it, right? So nobody wants to do what this guy did. Luckily, we don't have to do that, right? Because what would happen is our neighbors would become afraid of us. They would run from us at parties and they would warn other people about us. So we don't want to be Uncle Clueless. But network marketing is a $180 billion a year industry. Let that sink in, how huge this industry is. And it just keeps growing. Why? People need it. It works. It will grow. But it could not do that. You know, 5 years ago, it was a $150 billion a year industry. So $30 billion of growth annually in 5 years. That could not happen if our industry was based on annoying everybody that we talk to, right? So there has to be a right way and a wrong way to go about this. So then why have so many people had that visit from Uncle Clueless? Why do you think that is? Well, network marketing products are very exciting. Network marketing opportunities are very exciting. And it really doesn't take any, you're not required to have a specific level of education. You don't have to get a certificate to do network marketing. All you have to be is 18 years old and excited, and you can sign on the dotted line. If you don't just get the basic training that you need, then what I call the scenario of disaster ensues. So unsuspecting Mr. Prospect is walking down the street, and along comes excited new clueless distributor. And without creating rapport, without understanding anything about that person, without understanding their needs, their wants, their desires, their dreams, they just start spitting all kinds of information at them. Oh, you should join and you'll be a millionaire, and let me tell you about it, and it's got all this stuff in it. And so the person is just kind of going like this, and it's the equivalent of puking your business on that person, and it usually does not end very well, right? And then what happens is that person walks away from that interaction thinking, I have just experienced network marketing, and I hate it, and I never want to do it. Of course, they haven't experienced network marketing. They've experienced a very well-meaning bonehead. Okay. I didn't want to use that word, but I used it. Who just really doesn't understand the industry, who needed a little bit more training. And it always amazes me that people think that's okay. You know, people go to college for 4 years to get a bachelor's degree to qualify to do certain kinds of businesses, and then other people get a doctorate, or they get a master's in business, and they spend years and years in school to do a certain kind of task. So why on earth would people think in an industry where you can earn millions and millions and millions of dollars, even millions of dollars a year, and some people a month, that you need zero training? That would be like me deciding, you know what, today I'm a pilot. I just decided I am. I'm going to go over there to the airport. I'm going to hop in one of those jets. I'm going to start pushing buttons. And, you know, I'm sure it'll work out, right? Maybe not. Okay. So we just need to learn a simple system. You don't have to go to school for 4 years to learn how to do it, but your company can teach you the simple system. Your upline can teach you the simple system, and there are fabulous books by people who have been in this industry for decades, who have done what you want to do, and you can learn from them. Just as Aaron was saying, you know, learn from the people who have gone before you and done what you want to do. So let's take one of these. Is this one of those pyramid schemes? Well, when somebody asks me this, I want to clarify what they mean. So I ask them, well, tell me, what do you mean by that? And they're going to say one of two things. They're either going to say, well, you know, that's one of those deals where the guy at the top makes all the money and everybody else doesn't make any money. You have to be the first person in to make any money. Or they mean, that's one of those kind of dodgy, scammy, illegal-ish sorts of businesses, and I don't want to be in that. So let's take the first one. The guy at the top makes all the money. Now, somebody who believes this believes that your position is what determines how much money you make. So the sooner you join a company, the more money you're going to make. Well, you know, so feel, felt, found. I understand how you could feel that way. You know, before I really understood network marketing, I felt the same way, because when you look at this chart, it seems like if all of the sales volume flows up, the higher you are, then the more money you're going to make, right? But would it surprise you to know that there was actually a guy on my 3rd level, and even though I have made millions of dollars in this industry, he made $1 million more than me. So how could that happen if the position is the most important? Well, of course, your position is not the most important. What is most important is your activity. Because if you can be more effective at driving volume in a more balanced fashion through your business, you can make more money than the person who enrolled you. And that's fair. It happened to me. All right, now, some people say, yeah, but I'm looking at that and that looks like a pyramid. Okay, great. Did you know that pyramids are some of the most stable structures ever built? Why do you think the pyramids in Giza are still standing? Okay, so get over it. Your family looks like a pyramid. Your church looks like a pyramid. Your school looks like a pyramid. Your life looks like a pyramid. It's okay. And certainly if you work for a corporation, your corporation looks like a pyramid. How many CEOs are there in your corporation? Oh, one? How many regular workers are there? Oh, thousands? Well, is there any chance really that one of those regular workers is going to become the CEO? Very little, right? You know, the average CEO in the United States makes $10 million a year. The average worker in a corporation in the United States makes $29,000. So, no thanks, that sounds like a pyramid scheme to me. When you think about pyramids in network marketing, the way that I see it is it's really like an inverted pyramid. Because everybody starts out from zero. I started out from zero. Nobody put anybody under me. I had to get going, right? We start from zero, but the beautiful thing about network marketing is everybody can be the CEO. Everybody can become the highest rank in this company. Who's it dependent on? On you. You can do that. You're in charge. You know, Kevin was sharing his story about working in a corporation. That must have been very frustrating for Kevin, knowing, you know, how hard he was working. Somebody else was deciding how much money Kevin could make. Anybody in that position here? You want to change that? You can. You're in charge of how much you make in this industry. And I find this to be the most moral business model that there is. Now, think about this. In order for me to succeed, the people on my team must succeed. I have to help them. And if I don't, I won't succeed. That's very different than in the corporate world. If you're the new person in your department in a corporation, nobody goes, oh, yay, Paul is here. Let's help him get a promotion, right? Because I'm their competition. But in network marketing, that's exactly what they say about the new person. Yay, Paul's here. Let's help him advance and get the promotion, because if we do, we get a promotion. Doesn't that seem like a moral business model to you? Now, let's take when somebody believes, oh, well, that's one of those dodgy, scammy businesses. Look, there are dodgy, scammy pyramid schemes out there. They look like network marketing, but they are not network marketing. There is a vast difference between a pyramid scheme and network marketing. In a pyramid scheme, there really isn't a product. The product is the money. And so you pay money for the privilege of making money, but there's really not a product. In a pyramid scheme, your position absolutely determines your pay, and you're paid simply for recruiting, and they promise you big, big bucks for very little effort. In a legitimate network marketing business, there is a legitimate product that people really use, and they continue to use it. And as your team grows and they continue to use that product, that sales volume accrues to your account, and you receive a percentage of that. And that's fair. Because when somebody says, well, you know, the guy at the top makes all the money, my question is, well, what's he on top of? And how did he get there? Of course, he built a business, so is he not Is it not okay for him to profit from a business that he built? It only makes sense. So in a legitimate network marketing business, you're paid for product consumption. You can out-earn your sponsor, and it takes real effort. It is not a get-rich-quick scheme. Also, it's important to understand that network marketing is legal in 70 countries around the world. It's legal in the United States. And for more than 50 years, it's been upheld in both state and federal courts as a legitimate business model. So we can educate people to understand this. It's our job. Now, another objection that you'll get is saturation. This is when somebody asks you, well, how many people are doing this in Austria? Or how many people are in the company? What they're asking is my opportunity gone? And when people are making this objection, they have the mistaken belief, they're sitting there thinking, well, if network marketing really works, everybody would join the company, and then I wouldn't have anybody to talk to, and my opportunity would be gone, and then the last person in that process will always be hurt. But think about how absurd that is. There are 30-year-old and 50-year-old network marketing companies with millions of members, and you're not one of them. And neither are 6 billion other people out there. And so the idea, I mean, look, I have been a full-time network marketer for 13 years. I've made millions of dollars in this industry, and I'm still trying to saturate my personal neighborhood, my street, okay? All right? So the idea that saturation is going to happen for you, not so much. You also might want to consider that there was a really great leader who went out and he personally sponsored 12 other really great leaders, and they have been having weekly opportunity meetings for 2,000 years, and they still haven't gotten everybody to join. Okay? Okay, so let's take this one. We talked about time. You know, oh, God, I just don't have the time. I completely understand how you would feel that way. You know, I kind of felt the same way myself. But what I found is that you really can fit this business into the corners of your everyday life. Let me ask you, how many times have you recommended a book, or a movie, or a dentist, or a lawyer, or a school? You know, we do this. We share information. And it doesn't take a lot of time, and we certainly don't get paid for it. But what if you could, right? So you can fit this into the corners of your life. And technology has made that much, much simpler. In our business, we have an app. And all you have to do is tap your phone screen, and at the speed of thought, a video can be in somebody else's hand in the player that they're going to need to use to play it, their phone. I've been sitting at my nephew's soccer games, and I've sent out 10 texts, building my business while watching my nephews play soccer. So it's very simple because of technology, at the speed of thought, at the speed of sound. Also, what I'd like to ask people, now this is a really important thing to understand. Let me just talk to you about the principle for a second. You know, time is much more valuable than money. And if you don't believe that, you got to understand, no amount of money that you could pay is going to buy you back yesterday. It's impossible. And so if you spent yesterday doing things that you had to do, instead of things that you love to do, and if that happens for your whole life, at the end of your life, are you going to be disappointed? So what I like to ask people is, well, let me ask you, you know, if time were not an issue, what things that you love, what things that you're passionate about would you be doing that you really can't do now? People love to talk about their passions. Oh, I love to boat. I'd love to be I wish I had a boat. I wish I could blah, 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 blah. So then you ask them, well, let me ask you, why can't you do more of that? And they're going to teach you, well, you know, somebody else owns a whole lot of my time. Because the average person's day looks like this. They spend 8 hours sleeping, and I don't imagine anybody wants to cut down on their sleep. And then they spend 8 hours working, and probably they can't just walk away from their job because they need that money. And then they have another 8 hours in that 24-hour day to do everything else. That's driving to and from work, that's spending time with your family, that's anything you want to do to relax or have recreation. You got to pay your bills, you got to shop. Everything that you have to do to manage your life is in your kind of flexible time over there. But what if I could show you, by fitting this business into the corners of your life, that you could actually start to create a residual income that would give you a little bit more freedom, a little bit more flexibility, and then you could buy back some of the time that you have to spend in these 8 hours right now. Let me tell you what happened for me. When I first got involved in network marketing, I owned an interior design firm, and I was very busy. We had just been featured on the front cover of a magazine called Architectural Digest, and we were super busy. And so I realized, you know, you can only sell a couch one time, and then you have to go find somebody else to sell a couch to. I was tired of that process, and I thought, residual income, that's the key. So I'm going to work full-time at my job and part-time at my fortune. But I'm going to be very serious about this part-time effort. And do you know what happened? In a year and a half of me working in my network marketing business, my income of my network marketing business surpassed my income from my design business. And we made a lot of money in design. And at that point, I could say to my wife and my son, hey, you know what? Let's take off. I had served a mission for my church, just like Kevin had, in Peru, in South America. So I said, let's go to South America. We took off. We went to South America for 3 weeks. I didn't do anything in my network marketing business for 3 weeks. And you know what was so beautiful? That check kept coming. And do you know, while I was gone, that check went up by $10,000 that month. Try that if you're a dentist. Okay? Try that if you're really in any other profession where you have to show up and do that thing to get paid. It doesn't work. How did that work? Why did that happen for me? Because I had shown enough people how to fit this business into the corners of their life. And they had shown other people how to do the same thing. And it was so simple for them to show that they showed other people how to do it. And it was kind of like somebody pushed a snowball over the top of a mountain, and it just kept going all by itself and getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Does that sound like something that might be fun for you? Okay, so share your story. And if you don't have that story yet, share somebody else's story. If somebody asks you how much money you're making in this business, just say, oh my gosh, you wouldn't believe it. All right. Okay, there's another objection. I'm just not a good salesperson. I like to have fun with this. And I tell people, well, thank heavens, because if you were, I would have to beat it out of you. Because it's not about sales. It might surprise you to understand that network marketing is not full of slick salespeople. It's full of people from all different kinds of walks of life, all sorts of professions, all sorts of levels of education, white collar, blue collar, highly educated, not so highly educated. They're all just learning to do a few simple tasks, and anybody can succeed in this business. But it might surprise you to know that the #1 most represented profession inside network marketing, as I said, it's not salespeople. Do you know what it is? Anybody have an idea?
Teacher.
You got it. It's teachers. It's educators. And you know, that makes perfect sense to me, because we don't have to teach teachers how to teach. They already know how to teach, and that's all we do. We're teachers. It's our job to share an important message with someone, to teach them what it is that we have to educate them about it. And from that point, it's not our job to try to convince anybody or twist anybody's arm. We allow them to see if and how it serves them and at what level it serves them. And if we've done our job properly teaching them what it is, it's going to serve them. And they're going to want to do it. Okay? So we are educators. We're just looking for people who are already looking for what it is that we have. Now, the #1 mistake that a lot of people make, they handle the I'm not a good salesperson objection, and then they recreate it. How do they do that? Because they keep talking. So, for instance, let's say that you've taken a prospect to a presentation, and they sat through it, and they're kind of pretty excited. But you know that feeling where you sort of, and I know this happens because this used to be me. I have done this so many times I can't even tell you. I'm so grateful I learned how not to do this, so I'm hoping I can teach you about this. But instead of asking them for the close, instead of saying something simple like, okay, this is how I ask for a close, I'll say, so Mary, let me ask you, after hearing all this, on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being I'm not interested, and 10 being here's my pen, where's the paper, I'm signing up, where do you think you find yourself? Okay, and so that's kind of how I do my close. But instead of doing that, because people feel really uncomfortable, they're thinking, oh, what if they say no? Or I'm not sure how to ask. I'm not comfortable asking people for money. So instead, they just keep giving them more facts. Oh, well, let me tell you about this. And then there's this scientist, let me tell you about that. And then let me tell you about this, and let me tell you about that. And what the person is sitting there thinking, I mean, you're thinking, if I can just give them one magical fact, they're going to say, that's it, I join. But that doesn't really happen. So you have to ask. But what you're telling that person, if you keep talking and talking and talking, they're sitting there thinking, well, Paul told me I didn't have to be a good salesperson. But he's sitting there selling and selling and selling me, so I guess you do have to be a good salesperson. So you ruin your own credibility by talking too much. So just don't do it. All right, let's get to that's too expensive. Has anybody heard this? Okay, well, the principle that you want to apply here is expensive compared to what? Because I have to tell you, it's certainly not expensive compared to feeling terrible. It's certainly not expensive compared to bad health. But so I might handle this by saying, oh, I do understand how you might feel that way, because when I first looked at it, I thought, well, that's a little pricey. But then I started to realize that soul is the equivalent of 7 to 10 servings of fruits and vegetables. Doctors tell us to get 7 to 10 servings of fruits and vegetables. Do you know, in America, in the United States, only 12% of the people get that. Okay? What would it cost to get 7 to 10 servings of fruits and vegetables a day? Certainly more than $2.17 for a packet of soul, right? It's also the equivalent of 3 to 4 servings of essential fatty acids. I have a brother-in-law, I don't know, do you know who Larry King is from CNN? He's my brother-in-law. How did that happen? My mom told my sister, well, honey, you had to kiss a lot of princes to find your frog. I'm waiting for the translation to catch up. Okay, but Larry does a commercial on television for these omega pills. These little bottles of pills, and a 1-month supply at half price is $50. So when you start thinking about 7 to 10 servings of fruits and vegetables, 3 to 4 servings of essential fatty acids, this is becoming a value, right? And I'll tell you something else. I feel good. I'm not getting sick as often. I don't have to go to the doctor as often. Soul is a real value. So it's very important when people say that's expensive, what you have to understand is there is price and there is value. What they don't understand yet, they know the price. They just don't know the value. So you have to illustrate the value for them. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay. Also, we have a way that we can show them to get the product for free. Now, I know that there's going to be a little tweak to this. I'm very interested to hear Robert's talk this afternoon. But there's a way that people can earn the product for free. It's very simple. We can show them how to do it. And now, if they say, that's a lot of money to start a business, although I'm going to be tempted to say, what are you, crazy? I'm not going to say that. I'm going to compare that to franchises. Because to buy a franchise, it costs at the very least about $20,000 to hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars. I have a friend that bought a burger franchise. Do you know how much it was for one store? $4 million for one location. And that location is going to pull people from about a 10-mile radius and other people that get off the freeway. But that guy's got a building to pay for. He's got to pay back all that $4 million. He's got employees. He's got headaches. He's got electricity to pay for. And all I have to do is call people, and I have an international business. Does that sound expensive to you? Okay. There we go. Okay. Here's kind of the last one that we'll talk about. It's I'm going to run out of people to talk to. Have you ever heard that? Or I've even thought that myself when I was new in network marketing. I thought, geez, I'm going to run out of people. Well, here's the thing. I understand how you feel. I felt that way myself. But then I pulled out my phone, and I started looking at how many contacts I have in my phone. Hey, tell you what, pull out your phone. How many contacts do you have in there? It starts to help them realize they know a lot of people. How many friends do you have on Facebook? Your contacts don't even have to be local. Sometimes I've had the objection, well, the economy in my area is not very good. I don't think I can really do this business. Well, here's the good news. The people that you talk to about this business don't have to be in your area. They don't have to be in Idaho, or Utah, or Austria, or Poland. They can be anywhere in the world. So you participate in a worldwide economy, and that hedges your bet. You don't have to be hamstrung by the economy in your local area. That's kind of marvelous, isn't it? Now, the average person, sociologists tell us that the average person knows, personally, 250 people. They know that because the average wedding is attended by 250 people. And so is the average funeral. So it kind of holds true. So when one person joins your business, it's not just that you've brought that one person into your business. By the way, it's marvelous when you bring one person into your business, because if you're just starting, what you did was you just took your business from relying 100% on you to relying only 50% on you with just one person. But that one person brought with him 250 contacts that he has that are possibilities for your business. And when that person sponsors somebody else, there's another 250 people that he brings with him as possibilities. Do you think at that rate that you'd ever really run out of people to talk to? Of course not. Well, listen, I hope that you now feel the importance of listening very closely to your prospects' objections and questions, having empathy with them, and giving them further information so that they can reframe the erroneous beliefs that they hold. I hope that you have felt that this has been a good use of your time, because I have certainly found these principles to be very, very important and lucrative in my business. So thank you very much for listening, and let's go out and make it rain.